such as Italy and Germany, which eventually
and
led to the
the Dutch and Belgium and France, because I feel like all of those were kind of colonizing Africa all at the same time. We're not going to get deep into that, because that's going to break my heart to even have to watch that. What's going on, guys? It is JK here, back with another video today, and I told myself I wasn't going to do this video for the longest time, because I wanted to completely avoid it. We're going to take a look at how did the British Empire rule the world. We're going to essentially talk about British colonialism and how they completed it. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you guys want to see a different video, maybe based on maybe not British royalty necessarily, but British life in general, let me know what you guys want to see then down in the comments below. And yeah, let's get into the video. As well, guys, you can find the original video just down in the description below. What the hell is this music? I'm not gonna enjoy this video.
The British Empire may not have technically ruled the world, but it was, in fact, the largest empire to exist at any point throughout history. Reaching across the globe and carrying on over multiple centuries, the British Empire owes its success and ability to expand so widely. The geographical position of Great Britain served as a major advantage to the growing empire.
How does them being on a floating rock in the northern part of Europe give them geographical? I mean, I get it's the ports. The ports are mainly probably what gives them that type of great geographical advantage. But like Canada makes sense, but places like Egypt, Nigeria, India, Australia, those are hard places to get to. I'm a little on that.
Was an island, the likelihood
and they couldn't get invaded,
or conquered was somewhat lower than a country that was surrounded on all sides by foreign powers. Although Britain was not completely immune to incursions, it definitely benefited geographically, both in terms of external threats and when it came to any border disputes. Britain had a pretty clear and straightforward border between itself and any other nations. While Scotland and England split the landmass that was bilaterally united with the ascension of Scotland's King James VI to the throne of England in 1603, both states would together make up the nation of Great Britain by 1707, sharing their outward borders with nothing but the North Atlantic Ocean and the North Sea. This open position, with easy access for maritime expeditions, also gave Great Britain an upper hand when it came to reaching other countries and continents. Needing only to cross over foreign land when they wished to reach countries more inward on their continent, the Brits were able to sail to just about any coastal nation without much resistance. Still, oceanic adventures would not have been so effortless for the British Empire without a strong naval fleet. This is where the size and power of the Royal Navy became a center point of British success. While Great Britain did not always control the world's oceans,
they pretty much did, though.
The reason they began to skyrocket as an unignorable maritime power by the 18th century.
God, okay, the only reason I hate watching videos like these is, I'm not gonna lie to you, I get a little sleepy. We're gonna take. Listen, this is our 5-second coffee break. That's so much better. Honestly, I don't mind videos like these. It's just that they're so monotonous and droning. That's why I hated them in high school and schooling in general.
Guns than other naval forces. The government and citizens of the British Empire truly believed that the future of their wealth was to be found through the
They are correct.
Recognizing the importance of overseas trade, as well as a fleet that could also defend their land if ever required, the Brits made sure to adequately fund the Royal Navy. The Empire's focus on trade additionally contributed vastly to its triumphant transcontinental growth. Intent more on gaining wealth and increasing trade than on consolidating power through conquest, the Brits were able to create a more desirable environment for others to become a part of. After the successful colonization attempts in North America and the West Indies during the 1600s, the British Empire began to establish a commercial system that allowed for exponential success within Great Britain and its
That's very
overseas
fair. I mean, the U.S. did give them so much
Colonies were
stuff.
granted monopolies for their products in the British market, and therefore were to conduct trade via British ships. In 1651, the Navigation Act would prompt the development of a closed economy between the empire and its colonies.
Essentially, it's just
Where all colonial
just a lot of give and take. They provide the trade and the resources and the colonialization, and the U.S. provide the
were to be
resources.
sent directly to the British market by the way of British ships.
It's an economy.
During the
That's how
same
an economy
century,
works.
the British East India Company was established as a means of trade between Great Britain, East Asia, Southeast Asia, and India. Initially focused on the spice trade, the East India Company later incorporated other goods such as silk, cotton, tea, opium, and more. Politics made its way into the company later on, despite the origin being purely based on establishing more trade opportunities. Driven limitlessly by the concept of controlling a global trade market, the British Empire continued to extend its reach across the continents of Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, and the Americas. While the process of colonization varied from territory to territory, one thing that remained consistent was the form in which these expeditions began. Unlike other empires who chose to expand through the use of military might and sovereign claims to power, the British facilitated most of their expansion through the establishment of trading posts and systems.
I might invade you if you
Nonetheless,
don't want
the
to.
British Empire was not a completely non-violent authority. On top of the Anglo-Dutch and Anglo-Spanish wars near the start of British expansion, the empire also engaged in conflict with its American colonies during the American Revolutionary War, later followed by
I've always thought about.
dissension
Okay,
in
wait. I thought
India,
about this way.
succeeding the
How,
decline of
for the American Revolution, is it just more so like people got to the colonies and were just so tired of where they came from that they said, "Screw it, we're gonna fight. We're gonna fight against the U.S. or against the British Empire," which is pretty much the same people. Like, would they not have like relatives and everything still in the UK or still alive at least? Like, it was less than 100 years.
Bengal Empire, and
It's so
leaving the
weird to
British
think about.
East India
If you leave
Company as
the
a
United
prominent
States
political power in
and
the
then went to war for another
The
country against the United
presence of
States, like
Britain
that.
in India was also notably more forceful than some of their other trade-focused enclaves, demonstrated by the expansion of the East India Company's power through the threat of violence against
My
those
brothers
who
in India,
protested.
you guys did not deserve
The
this.
continued
You did not
tensions
deserve this in
between
the
British and
slightest.
French were no longer secluded in India either, as the 7 Years' War erupted in 1756, lasting until the Treaty of Paris was signed in 1763, leaving Britain as the leading power across India and the world's oceans. When the American Revolutionary War came in 1775, after the British Empire responded to the "no taxation without representation" movement of the Americans by sending troops to try and subdue the colonies, France and Spain chose once again to go to war
Smart.
with Britain, now as allies
Smart.
of the newly
Yeah.
declared United States. In 1783, at the Peace of Paris, the British Empire was forced to acknowledge American independence, in turn relinquishing any control over their former colonies. Devising a new strategy after such a drastic loss of territory, Great Britain now turned its attention toward the continents of Asia,
Yeah, and
Africa,
they were going
and
to
Australia,
colonize.
marking
They were
what
going
some
to take
historians
over.
call the beginning of the Second British Empire. Though trade between the United States and Great Britain actually continued after the installation of independence, the empire chose to utilize the uncolonized coasts of Australia, which had been discovered by a Dutch explorer, Willem Janszoon, in 1606, and later claimed for the British crown by James Cook in 1770 under the name of New South Wales.
Isn't that a place in Australia
Still
still?
feeding their fresh craving for expansion in South Asia, the British suddenly engaged in a series of conflicts after the Battle of Plassey, which had occurred in 1757. By 1774, the British Empire took on a chain of attacks. The Anglo-Mysore Wars were fought until 1799, followed by clashes with the Pindaris. Attacks on places like Sind and Burma also accelerated the new consolidation efforts of the British East India Company, on top of what was referred to as the Doctrine Lapse, where the Brits forbid the ascension to the throne of any Hindu ruler if they were not the natural heir. Once the current Hindu leader either died or was removed in some way, the British would occupy his state and gain control. These acts by the British Empire, combined with other forms of forced westernization of the Hindus, led to the Sepoy Mutiny of
There's just a lot going on in British India. Listen, I didn't know all of this happened in India. India is a completely different world to me, for the most part. So it's a little surprising to see that India tried, essentially, to gain its independence from the Britons, literally at the same time we did. They tried at the same time. It's just that one of us was successful and the other one was not. Like, that's the only difference.
Current heavy-handed British rule, the Indian troops of Meru sparked a rebellion that would spread throughout the nation. Peace was finally declared in July of 1859, and the British East India Company was scrapped. Although the empire maintained a level of control under the crown until 1947. During this span of time, Great Britain set about
in
making its
Africa,
presence
yeah.
better known in Africa.
Here we go in Africa.
Although the Royal African
it.
Company had been established back in the 17th century, finding ample profit in the slave trade until its abolition in 1807. It was not until the 19th century that the Brits realized the potential benefit of forming a trade route across Africa, with its eyes set on establishing outposts spanning from Egypt down to the southern half of the continent. The British Empire found itself in a race against the other growing European powers, such as Italy and Germany, which eventually led to the
Dutch and Belgium and France, because I feel like all of those were kind of colonizing Africa all at the same time. We're not going to get deep into that, because that's going to break my heart to even have to watch that.
The conference, which occurred in 1884, was intended to create some harmony between the competing colonizers.
Yeah.
Great Britain was ultimately awarded most of northeastern Africa and all of southern Africa, meaning that at its peak in the continent, the British Empire ruled over approximately 30% of
Think
the
about
African
that.
population.
That's unbelievable.
Globally,
How many people and generations are impacted by British colonialism from Africa alone?
25% of the world's land.
That blows my mind.
And by 1938, governed around 20% of the world's population.
Wow.
This remarkable.
But let me know what you guys think on how the British Empire ended up ruling the world, or at least 20% of it, technically, at approximately one time in a very large landmass, I guess, which didn't really contain the 13 colonies at this point. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and I will catch you guys for another video. Peace.